And welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast where we talk about movies, TV, and whatever the hell we want, as always. Today, I will be your solo host, as the rest of our team has not actually seen today's topic, which is Predator Badlands. Directed again by Dan Trachtenberg, who also directed Prey and Killer of Killers. It is starring Elle Fanning and Demetrius Schuster-Koloamatangi. Now, while this movie has been riding high, it seems, on Rotten Tomatoes amongst critics and audiences, it has been quite a division amongst the YouTuber, social media, pop culture critics, per se, where one YouTuber, the Critical Drinker, actually put it perfectly, I must say, saying using a matter of perspective is where you may vary on where this movie lies with you. And perspective is a good word because it's a matter of opinion, after all. And opinion isn't necessarily fact or truth. And some of these reviewers are using their perspective to kind of describe and depict what this story is and bend it to their own personal narratives. And so I'm here today to really give you the truth of what is Predator Badlands and help you truly decide for yourself if you should watch it or not. So be warned, be prepared. Spoilers are ahead. Now, a big thing, if you've been seeing, if you're on X or YouTube, wherever, people are saying that this Predator is really sensitive and in touch with his emotions. And there's a lot of humanity being brought to this Predator for the first time. And depending on which side you lie, will depend on where you think that goes. So, like we mentioned before, perspective. People like the critical drinker or even nerdrotic and such, and their kind of circles see the sensitivity part of him being in touch with his emotions as it being Disneyfied and being emasculated and such. And then while the other side is looking at it, if we look at the Hollywood Reporter, they're saying that the sensitivity is bringing in some queer coded aspect to it where he's keying with his BFFs and such. Now, the reality is it's just a character going through his journey of self-discovery in the sense of like a coming to age story, like any adventure tale per se. Now, here's where those spoilers start to come in. The movie opens up with our main character, Deck, training with his older brother on their home planet of Yautja Prime. And Deck, we learn, is the runt of the not just the family, but of the clan, like of the whole like race that they reside in. And he's also kind of disformed. Like everything is explained of why he is the way he is. As many of us, I myself, when I first saw the trailers, I saw the design, I wasn't keen on it. I think most of us were like, what the hell is this? That's not my predator. That's not a predator at all. And it had us worried immediately. But for those of us who are fans of Prey and how that turned out, again, not exactly at the Predator that we knew, but not a bad installment either. One of the parts that I didn't like, though, was the design of the Predator's face. I thought it looked a little janky. It wasn't the Predator that we've known to love all these years with that nice, unique, grotesque design of like those tendrils in the mouth or whatever, however you want to, the mandible jaw, like all that stuff was really cool and unique. And it had aspects of it, but it didn't look right. This movie starts to come closer to what we know, but Deck himself stands out in a way where it's like, you're not it. Like I said, we find out here he is malformed, he is a runt. So it's like now we know why he looks the way he looks. And in turn, because he looks like this, he's not favored by the clan, and specifically not favored by his own father. His father sees him as junk, pretty much. He's just this disgrace, this dishonor amongst their people. So he doesn't even see the worth in him. But the brother does because they're brothers. There's this moment where they share. You find out that Deck may have saved the older brother when they were younger at one point, like almost sparing him to some extent or something, where he feels that he owes him. And there's that connection. And then not too long after, Papa comes after a little training session, and he's disappointed the older brother hasn't killed the younger brother and eliminating him and just culled him from their existence. And so this is actually the contention where people start feeling that there is some sense of sensitivity and he's in his feels. And it's because of this connection he has with his father or lack thereof. And so it's like that classic tale of like wanting to prove yourself to your dad, wanting your dad's love, wanting the honor, his respect, wanting to be proud of you. That's what this story is in this part right here. And the father is so disappointed in the older brother. Like he ends up giving him almost like the ultimatum of like, you gotta kill him now. Let's just get rid of him. And the older brother being the older brother that we all either have had or want, or strive to be, ends up saving his brother and allows him to go on the hunt so that he can prove himself. Because that's what they do. They have this one big hunt to prove that they belong in the clan. And once they come back with their trophy, then they're blooded in. And the father doesn't even want to give Deck that chance at all. He's just like, he doesn't deserve it, just kill him. The brother sacrifices himself so that Deck can go on his journey and become the man that he always believed that he can be. And I use the word man there because it's just like, how do we not relate that to something we are? And they are men species. So just in case, like, it's like, oh, you were making them sound human. It's like they're humanoids. Of course, I want to make them sound kind of human, which is another level of contention that seems to be had within the reviews I've seen for this movie. But after that, now Deck is sent off to this planet where it's the most dangerous planet apparently within like the system, and it has the most dangerous creature that even all of the Yautja and specifically his father are afraid to fight because it's the unkillable beast. And this is one of those things that I find very interesting is that these reviewers who talk bad about it say that it's not a manly movie. Like I said, he's sensitive and everything because of the situation. But as a man, we all go through that journey. We all have to take on some unkillable beast. And it may not be like a real beast, but it may be this challenge. We have to overcome this challenge. And we all want to prove ourselves to our dads to some extent. Even if you have a dad that you didn't like or didn't love, you still want to prove something to him. It may be the opposite of pride. It may be the point of proving them wrong. And that's where Deck's journey is. You see it change within these first like 10, 15 minutes, where at first he wants that pride from his dad, and now it turns into a revenge story where it's like, I'm gonna prove him wrong. I'm going to prove to him that I can keep up with the rest of them. And not just that, but be better than them. And he's going to prove to his brother that his brother made a worthwhile sacrifice. And he has to avenge his brother's death. So, like, I don't know what's more manly than that. That sounds a very manly story, but there's these claims that it's feminized and, like I said, sensitive. I really am curious of like what these people's perspective of sensitive and not being manly is, if this isn't it. But like I said, then you have on the other side of the spectrum, we do have those reports saying that the sensitivity is making it seem kind of gay and he may be homoerotic kind of stuff going on with him and somehow with the girl android. I don't know how that part's gay, but I guess it is. I couldn't see it mainly because he's a dude, she's a girl android or synthetic. I guess that perspective is weird there, we'll say. But in any case, there are scenes with them together and she talks to him about like his what he's going through and everything. And she's noticing that he's having an inner conflict, like he's battling something. And that's not untrue. He is battling something. There is the conflict. He's trying to survive in this dangerous planet while also he's just lost his brother, the only being that was on his side. And if you are not to be emotional or so kind of sentimental towards that, then I consider you to be a cold-hearted person. Okay. That's my perspective. Let's discuss like the humanity aspect. Like, why are they making him, why are they trying to humanize him? Why are they trying to make him seem like us? He's a humanoid creature. Humanoid creatures that have civilizations usually are going to have some sense of sentiment, some kind of emotionality to them. I mean, if you've read like most people probably haven't read the comic books, but if you have read the comic books, then you know that they are people of culture. And while their ways are very extreme and drastic from what our ways are, it's not that dissimilar, having a sense of like family, or even with them it's almost like a almost regalness because there is a patriarchy and matriarchy to them that's similar to like a king and queen situation. But like their sense of honor is still a sense of love to some extent. They may not say or use love the way that we do, but it is there. They obviously care for one another because how else are you going to work together? They're in a clan. Like they have to care for one another. In which I would say that's the part that for me is the thing that no one's really addressing and how it deviates from the Predator lore. Where in this, the fact that the father wouldn't even give him the chance to prove himself goes against the Predator lore. Because in the real Predator, like comic books and even kind of how the movies were to some extent, because the movies don't give you too much. I think the books really open up the lore when you look at the Dark Horse comic books. We get to see that, the hunt is where you prove yourself. They wouldn't just take out one of their own just for the sake of killing them. They have to prove themselves, or at the very least, they would be sent off away. They would probably be like exiled or whatever, or shunned. But to just straight up kill them, that's dishonorable. There's no honor in killing something that they would feel is weaker or inferior to them. Even the first Predator movies show that if someone's unarmed or looks, like they cause no threat, then they're not going to attack them at all. They leave them alone. So if the father truly felt that Deck was harmless and that or worthless, he shouldn't have had the thought to even kill him. He should have just let him go. And what harm does it even take to let him prove himself? He proves himself, then great. Now he's one of you. He dies, then you were right. He was never worth it. So like to me, that was the part that people should really be complaining about, if they're going to complain at all, is the idea that it messes with the lore of the Yautja and the Predator series. But at the same time, not everyone's the same. Not everything's the same. Deck is obviously a unique character for their world. And in turn, the father could be unique too. Maybe he doesn't fully believe in their ways. Maybe he thinks letting them live is a sign of mercy, and they don't believe in mercy to some extent. So, like, all that still has a room to breathe and play with in this world, and it still could make sense. And so, for me, on my perspective, I think it's a welcome fit to this world and this lore. Because at no time do I feel like they are not as vicious as the predators from our past, from the 80s and from the 90s and so on. Now, the biggest thing I find funny when there's the sensitivity conversation is brought up, these are the same reviewers who I guarantee will tell you that Rambo is one of the manliest movies, is one of the greatest movies, when it comes to action, male, machismo, and all that goodness. And then they seem to forget that at the end of Rambo, he breaks down in a fit of tears and just has a mental breakdown.
I can't. Oh, just, oh God.
Like he's just blubbering, crying to his superior officer. I never hear anyone talking about like, oh, Rambo's really sensitive. He's kind of like gay or whatever. He's kind of like emasculated or whatever. And he's defeated with a hug. It's like makes you think back to when the Thunderbolts came out and everyone's just like, oh wow, the bad guy's defeated with a group hug. Yeah, so was Rambo. Rambo was defeated with a hug, but no one complains about it. It's one of the best things ever. We freaking loved Rambo to the point where it got a whole franchise. And it's like everyone remembers Rambo ripping out a throat, but they don't remember Rambo crying. It's like how and no time in this movie do you ever see Deck cry. The Yautja never cries. He screams in anger, like anyone would in a certain situation that he's in, but he never cries. And one could argue that crying is the most ultimately sensitive thing that you can do. So there's that. I don't know. Now, many people are going to say, like I said before, this is a very Disneyfied movie. All right. And when we get something Disneyfied, that means that you get lots of inclusion that people are going to say aren't welcome and lots of comic relief. And of course, the cutesy tootsy animal that's going to be merch for everyone to buy. I think people are forgetting that the original Predator films, while yes, action, horror, sci-fi, you know, but definitely more action, and they were also comedic. I mean, the first one is filled with one-liners from Arnold Schwarzenegger, a person who I may add we never took as a serious actor at that time. When we watched his movies in the 80s, you were watching for the action, you were watching for the comedic relief and everything, and that movie had it. You're telling me you watched like Jesse Ventura being in there and you didn't chuckle a little bit?
Son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
There's moments many times that we all laughed at that time. Never mind the fact that a lot of that parts of the movie have become memes now. How many times don't we do like
You son of a bitch.
GIF meme in our conversations? So it's like to ignore the fact that there's a comedic aspect of that film is ridiculous. And when you go to the sequels, like Predator 2 is pure camp. That thing is ridiculous. Not to say that it doesn't have its moments and it's not fun, but like when it came out, like both these movies when they came out, Predator 1 and 2, they weren't the Academy Award winning celebrated films that they're remembering it to be. I was in the 80s and the early 90s. I remember it was pretty divided back then too on the reviews for these things. Siskel and Ebert were not on the same page when it came to liking this movie. One thought it was freaking stupid and derivative, while the other one thought it was okay. The other one didn't even think that it was great either. He's like, it's okay and it's better than what you think. But they weren't like, yeah, this is the best. And part two was even worse. Like most people didn't even like part two when it came out. And now they're like, oh, part two is actually really freaking good. We gotta be nicer to it now that this movie's out. It's like it's amazing how things change once the newer thing is out there. But then it's like This movie didn't have any more comedy, any less comedy than the originals did. And it's like, sure, it may seem a little extra because the character we're getting it from is a synthetic. And the synthetics usually shouldn't be that comedic as she was. Something I would complain about is possibly the aspect of that. It's like the comic relief could have been there, and maybe not from her, because she should have been more, I guess, android-like, more robotic. But I mean, again, I gotta say, the movie explains that too. So it's like, if you just watch the movie explains itself to you, very plainly. Her and her other characters, like Elle Fanning, who plays the synthetic, plays two different synthetics. They're almost like twins. And she explains that they were given sensitivity, they were given emotions so that they can better analyze the creatures of that planet and connect with them a little easier. It's also used as a manipulation tactic towards the creatures too, especially if they were humanoid like the Yautja. And she definitely uses these to manipulate him to get what she needs. That being said, it's like the comedy doesn't come out of nowhere. The comedy does help break up some of the intense moments that exist. And I felt like they weren't bad. Was every joke landing? No. But you got some chuckles out of me, so it's like they weren't all bad, And again, perspective is the word of the day. Not everyone's humor is going to be the same, and that's okay. And then when we hop over to our cuddly, cute creature, sure, the argument could be that it was made for toys. You know what? Everything is made for toys at some point. Like the Predator are made for toys. All right, we can't pretend like the Predator franchise itself, the machine that is Predator, hasn't been used to make toys all these decades. All right. So like getting upset that Disney added a cute little thing to make merchandise. Yeah, they also make another Predator movie so that they can make more Predators. You know, you think NECA isn't making money off of the Predator freaking license? I guarantee they are. They make a buttload of Predators, buttload of aliens. Like that's the whole point. I'm always seeing a new statue from Sideshow or Prime One Studios. Like, there's always something being made for this franchise, some kind of product. So it's like, let's not pretend like the Yautja itself isn't a toy production thing. Like they want to make figures of this. So if they can make a brand new figure, they're gonna try to do it. Of course they are. They freaking introduced a new brand new super loader. That's like the freaking one from Aliens, but juiced up. Guarantee you're gonna see toys of that too. It is what it is. And it's like we us collectors, we all scoop it up. They know what they're doing, and you know what they're doing. So like, why are you pretending like this isn't a thing? It's kind of like this annoying thing to complain about. It's like you're complaining because they want to make money and make toys. Okay, tell me a fandom that you like that doesn't do that, and I'll be surprised. That there's always some aspect of a fandom where they're trying to make money off of something, some kind of merchandise. It doesn't have to be just toys. It could be shirts, hats, everything. Everything around you is merch. So it's like, if you're gonna get mad at something, get mad at frickin', George Lucas for really honing in on the lunchbox or and making everything a fucking dollar. Another thing I'm seeing is that there's reviewers saying that they didn't want to see a Predator movie from the Predator's perspective, and they don't like the fact that the Predator is talking. And some people are having this opinion without even seeing the movie, which is crazy to me. And I find it kind of funny because the people who are saying this, especially the ones who are like, "Oh, I don't want to see this from Predator's perspective. It's losing all the mystique that he had from the original one." They're the same people who are like, "Oh, I'm tired of the same thing over and over again. Give me something new." This is something new. We're getting something different to the franchise that we hadn't seen before for this franchise. Maybe we've seen it before with something else, but we hadn't seen it with this character. We haven't seen it with these beings. And I think it's like if these people also, not all, but some, probably are privy to the comic books. And the comic books, like when you see AVP, AVP is all about the Predator and the aliens. That's it. There's some humans in there for sure. It's not like there's no human interaction at all, but that's what it's about. And let's not also pretend like we're never rooting for the Yautja. Like we're always rooting for the Predator. That's like as fans of these kind of films, we are always secretly rooting for the creature, the bad guy of some sorts. We're the same people who love the Joker. You know, because it's like let's not pretend like we're not already rooting for this thing in some way. Like, sure, we might want our Arnold character to win at times, but then at other times, like, when you're watching part two, I'm pretty sure you kind of want all the Predators to win. Nothing against Danny Glover or anything and Lethal Weapon and shit, but like that's what that was. That was Lethal Weapon with Predator. That's all. So it's like it's kind of interesting to me that people are crapping on this thing for being exactly what they probably wanted, but yet now they don't want. Odd, very odd. All right, you got to make up your mind. Do you want something new? You want something that's repetitive. Never mind the fact that this isn't the first time we've seen the Yautja talk. I mean, they talked in Predator Part 2, and it was pretty shitty. All right, it's using freaking modern day at that time vernacular. Shit happens. I don't want to hear a Predator say shit happens. I'm sorry. It seems stupid. It's swearing over here and everything. It's like, what are we doing here? What this did, which I was very happy with, is we got to have a language. Like they actually created a full language for the Yautja. That's freaking awesome. For people who like myself who grew up watching like Star Trek, specifically where Klingons, like they created a whole Klingon language. I don't know it. I'm not that much of a nerd, but it's cool the fact that someone thought to make a freaking whole language. That's like some Tolkien shit where he's making a whole elf language and dwarf language. That's so much care that's being put into the mythos of a character. So the fact that they did that, like that to me, that's elevating. That's something that should be respected and celebrated. But the Yautja has its own language. It's speaking in its language, and the awesome thing is, it speaks in its language through the whole movie. So you're having subtitles through this whole thing. They didn't have to do that. They could have easily just had to speak English like any other alien movie. There's been plenty of alien movies that we grew up within all of these decades where the aliens just spoke English automatically and we just accepted it. They're like, you know what? No, it would have a different language. It's going to speak its language. To me, the argument should be that the android character, the synthetic character of Thea, who are played by Elle Fanning, who is his counterpart, is talking to him. And at first, she speaks the language, and then she switches to a more universal thing so that he can understand, and so we can understand. The way they even explain, like they're explaining to us, like we're going to switch so that you can understand her, but he's still going to speak his language. And I thought that was really weird. Like, just have her speak his language then. Don't have it be this universal thing so she gets to speak English and he's still speaking his thing. Like, that was the part to me that was stupid. Like, just have her continue speaking his language since he already started doing it. Having it switch over and her explaining the switch over just seems stupid and pointless. As opposed to, let's say, maybe they switched it over into English so we could understand, and it was just like a perspective, change just for us, as opposed to have within the story. It was very weird and stupid, in my opinion. I also argue that the better option, the better idea would have been to not have any speaking at all. I personally think that the person who should be making a Predator movie, it should be the creator of Primal, the animated series that was like on Cartoon Network, Genndy Tartakovsky. This guy has created a cartoon where there is no dialogue whatsoever. I believe it's had 2 to maybe 3 seasons, and you're just following this like Neanderthal and his dinosaur friend, and they're just going on this adventure, and there's so much depth and amazing world building and lore being created in this. Like I said, with zero dialogue, there's no words, no talking whatsoever, but you feel every moment. You feel for him and her, like she's a mother, and like they both like have lost their families, and there's it's kind of funny. It's very similar to this, since it's a found family kind of movie, or kind of it's a found family kind of show. And that's what this movie is. This movie is a found family kind of thing. That's the story. And while the found family thing, it may feel overdone at times, especially in this day and age. There have been maybe too many stories where we're saying like your real family isn't important. It's the family you choose that's important. And that's not always the best message. I definitely grew up in the time of the blood is thicker than water kind of thing. But sometimes you aren't blessed with the best family. And that could be a true thing too. And I feel like this story definitely handles that idea in a better way than most do. So Deck finding Thea, and how he treats her, like he calls her a tool in the beginning. So they're not even friends in the beginning. He's just like he justifies bringing her along on his venture by seeing her as a tool to help him. And that's what predators do. They use their surroundings to advance further in their hunt and in their journey. So at first he's not even going to help her and bring her along, but he's like, wait a second, you're a tool. I can use you then. But then within that, they talk and they start going through things and they help one another. And that tool becomes a friend. I felt there was something wrong with that. The idea that a Yautja couldn't have a friend is retarded. It's like you think that they never had friends, they never had someone that was by their side. We've seen, especially after part 2, that they can be in packs, they can be in clans. So it's like the idea of them working together and having camaraderie wouldn't be unheard of. It would make lots of sense if anything. They probably hunt alone to get the skills, but then work together to be better and stronger. That's the only way that their people would have survived as long as they did. I think we all know that. Like you don't survive alone. You survive in a pact. But the movie was fun. It was a fun, good time movie, you know? Is it going to be winning any awards? Probably not, but not every movie has to win an award. Sometimes a movie is just there for you to turn your brain off and just have a good time. And like Schwarzenegger movies were turn your brain off good time movies. That's what they were. I feel like that's the way that people should be going into this film. It's like, don't be looking at this like it's the next Spielberg, or Scorsese freaking thing. Look at it more like a Michael Bay film, where there's going to be explosions and some bloodshed or whatever, or in this case, some, I guess, liquid milkshed, whatever you want to consider it. It's funny calling it not manly and stuff, but this is a brutal movie. He is tearing through aliens and ripping them apart, ripping them in half. They're breaking freaking synthetics left and right and just ripping heads off, limbs, everything. It's like things are getting torn up, all right? So it's not like it's without action. If anything, it's slightly nonstop action. Like we start off the movie just him fighting his brother, then being sent off to an alien planet where everything is trying to kill him. Like he is constantly trying to survive at every turn on this planet, which to me is like it's awesome. Like we are seeing him fail, which is another thing. It's like this isn't like what we consider like a Mary Sue type thing where like he's just automatically awesome. It's like no, he's earning every victory. He's learning from every loss that he has. It's like isn't that what we want for a movie? We want to see our hero go through challenges and turmoil and rise above all of it. And sure, our hero is someone who we're used to seeing as an antagonist, but that's not to say that he won't be an antagonist later. And because in his story, he is a hero. Every antagonist sees themselves as the hero. That's what makes them great, is because they think they're the good guy. Every good bad guy to us sees themselves as the good guy in a situation. They don't see themselves as the villain. It's like, and it's not a new thing I'm spouting out here. We all know this. So like I don't know how we're pretending like that thought went away, like that mentality is gone. It's still there. I'm excited to see if they make a sequel, have him go against humans all of a sudden. And like now he is the bad guy because they don't know who he is. He still has his Yautja ways of being the hunter and still taking out, threats and everything. Humans could and would be a threat to him. Honestly, I sort of think it's like on a loosely side note, it's like when I think of the movie Predator, I watched Predator, and sure, the movie begins with the Yautja being the predator. But by the end of it, he becomes the prey because Schwarzenegger is hunting him. He is setting him up for the hunt. So it's like predator is a loose term. It's not necessarily like we always put it on the Yautja because they're tied to that word and that idea, but the roles get switched easily. Like even by part two, it is being taken out by another human. You watch the AVP movies, the aliens are hunting, the xenomorphs are hunting the Yautja as much as the Yautja are hunting them. They are both predator and prey at the same time. If anything, the humans kind of stay as prey through most of it, except for like your surviving character. But it's like that word is interchangeable. It's not necessarily, it doesn't belong to the Yautja. Their culture wants to own that word for themselves, but the story dictates where that word resides according to how it goes along. So, okay, you've been sitting here walking, exercising, whatever you're doing as I've been rambling on. You're like, all right, George, get on with it. Like, was this a good movie? Are you angry at these other reviewers? No, I'm not angry at them. It's just disappointing when you see that some of these reviewers are people that I actually follow, and I think they have great points on like how Disney's been failing us with franchises like Star Wars or the MCU and everything. And then they come at this movie, which is actually giving us something that we've all been asking for. They've been asking for, and they crap on it, but at the same time, admitting that it is actually kind of a good movie. So it's like, is it a good movie, but it's also a bad movie at the same time? It's kind of frustrating. And then you have the other side of media, which is praising it, but then advertising it in a way that's not going to get people to the theater. If you put your headline like Elle Fanning plays BFF android to sensitive Yautja, you've now lost everyone who wants an action film, a fun action film. They're not going to want to see that. And the reality is that this film is not what they've all been saying. Is there comedy? Yes. Is there an action film? Yes. Does the Yautja possibly have feelings? Yeah, because we all have feelings. All right. Even the creatures that don't speak have feelings, even if you don't see it. But what this movie and the story is, it's a coming of age story of a young warrior finding his place in the world and where he fits in and proving not really to just his family, but to himself that he deserves his place in that world and that he can be something more. He can be enough within all of that. And it's like that's not a bad story. That sounds like a good story. One of the best parts, which is something that I've always liked about the Predator lore, is that for me, well, I guess some of the reviewers don't see them as being close to humanity. I always saw the Predator as being close to humans in the sense of like Native Americans. Native Americans were always known for like utilizing their surroundings, utilizing the world around them to benefit them, while also still honoring it and respecting all of it. Like all the agriculture and the organicness of it all could be respected and useful. At one point in this movie, Deck starts adapting and utilizing all of the hurdles that he came across, and he turns them to his advantages. Early on, he loses all of his weapons. Like he only has like maybe a sword and barely a bow or whatever. Before, like he had so much to his arsenal, and then it all got taken away. And so now he only has a couple of things. So he doesn't have like his traditional, arm-mounted cannon. He doesn't have like his extendable bow staff. Or like his it's other things like he doesn't have a cloak. Like the whole point is he's trying to earn a cloak too. So he doesn't have the ability to even turn invisible like the traditional predators do. So like he's at a disadvantage at all times. Like he's really trying to prove himself and utilizing all those things and turning them into more organic versions of the things that he's technologically used to. I thought was so brilliant. And it's like you're seeing all these things not knowing that later on they're going to be used again. So to me, that's just good storytelling. They set up the little freaking breadcrumbs to be then collected later on. It's like how people could not enjoy that is mind blowing to me. And I think, great, you don't have to enjoy this, but at least acknowledge that there was some good. I don't like everything I see either. But I can acknowledge when something was put together well. I think of the movie Elvis by Baz Luhrmann. It wasn't an Elvis movie as much as it was, a Tom Hanks vehicle and everything. And I felt like Austin Butler's performance of Elvis, to me, it wasn't the best Elvis impersonation that I've seen in my life, but it wasn't bad either. Like he still did a great job on the emotion part of it. And he did a good job with all the singing, all the physical aspects of it. And there was a lot of good done in it. But at the same time, like, I'm never watching that movie again. But I still acknowledge what's good. I feel like there's like this battle going on where like they feel like, well, I gotta hate on Disney, so I can't give them any kind of props or respect right now. And like that's not necessarily true. I think it's not 100% Disney. It's owned by Disney, but it's still under the Fox banner. And I gotta say, Fox is still pumping out stuff that feels like them. This feels like the Fox persona. So you go out there, you judge for yourself. Definitely take a chance on this movie. All right. I guarantee that even if you don't like it, you're not gonna hate it. You know, it's like there's been some divisive movies out there that really it's like, okay, this was not made for certain people. Like there's certain things that are being pushed, agendas here or there. There's no agenda in this. Just to add one more thing, like if there was gonna be things to complain about, and again, I'm gonna say that the thing that's bad, but also the thing that's good about it. The synthetics in this don't act like synthetics that we know from past Weyland-Yutani alien movies. As we always know, when a synthetic frickin' gets hurt, boom, it dies. Like they're weaker than humans for some reason. That's always been like a big critique of mine. As much as I love the Alien franchise, I love the Alien series. The synthetics always being like super easy to kill. It's just like, what's the point of you? You're supposed to be a tool that's better than us, but yet you just die at the snap of a finger. In this, she's cut in half, the Thea character, and she's surviving. Like she's able to live even though she's cut in half. The sister character got beaten the fuck up apparently by the creature they're trying to find, and they bring her back. Like they're able to fix her. You never see a synthetic get fixed in the alien movies. It's like, oh, we lost one, we'll get another one. There's never a concern or worry. The fact that they fixed her, it's like, all right, they're trying to like keep things together. Like, why waste it if it's not fully broken? But the fact also like that it said it could survive with half a body. Even her legs were able to survive without her, and she could fight later on. Like she's not just useless. Like she becomes a fighting tool along his side. Now I'm calling her a tool. That but like she's not just this weak character, and it's since she's a synthetic, it makes sense. Like there could be the argument usually it's like, oh, the girl's kicking ass as much as the guy, but she's not human. She's synthetic, so it's okay. Like it's explained all right there. And for me, it's like I've always wanted the synthetics to be better, to be more powerful. And this movie gave me what I've been wanting for decades. It made them actually useful. So it's like about freaking time. But like I said, that could be a bad thing if you want to be super connected to lore, as we've always seen it. Since it's so far into the future and it's supposed to be past Alien Resurrections, I think this was a good addition. And you should have new additions. You should have new things. You should evolve when telling these stories. Good action, good levity, good story of growth. And there's that revenge. You get that sweet, sweet revenge at the end. I can't wait for a sequel. I think just check it out. Go watch Predator Badlands. There's things to like about this movie. That's what I'm saying, all right? There's definitely things to like about it. So you let me know in the comments. Have you seen Predator Badlands? Do you plan on watching Predator Badlands? Am I hitting a nail on the head here? Or am I the one who's wrong? Maybe my perspective is messed up. Maybe I have the wrong opinion on this thing. Maybe all these other guys are right. Maybe it is emasculated and everything and just feminized Disney crap or whatever, let me know in the comments. Follow us on Not a Strong Start on our Twitters, Instagrams, whatever. I have been your host today, George. You can follow me at Nicolopoulos. And as my friend Jose always says, we may not always have a strong start, but we can sometimes, always, maybe possibly 60%, 100% of the time have a strong finish. Till next time.